أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت روحي وصار الدمع يجري يا إلهي خذ بقلبي للرشاد.
Number 3, the diya is mu'ajjal up to 3 years. 3 years from the date of the killing of this individual. So every year 1/3 needs to be brought forward. So there's some time given with regards to this matter, 3 years, and it's on the family of the killer. Third category, and that is qatl khata, where it was accidental, where it was a mistake. This diya is mukhaffafa, it's the light type of diya. It's also upon the aqila, upon the family of the perpetrator, upon the family of the one who made the mistake. And many a scholar has recorded ijma' on that matter, Ibn Mundir and others. It's also deferred for 3 years, and this was the opinion of the Sahaba, ijma' of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum. So these 3 categories with regards to diya ala nafs. When it comes to diya maduna nafs, diya upon the limbs, diya for your senses, your sight, your taste, your smell, etc. This diya is slightly different. Number 1, if it's some sort of organ, some sort of limb that you only have one off, you have one nose, and so if the individual cut off your nose in this skirmish, in this fight, you had lost your nose, or for example your tongue, or example your private organ, then here there is a diya, full diya, which is due, and that diya is 100 camels. Subhanallah. So on the side of life, taking the life of someone, it's 100 camels. Cutting off the tongue of someone is also 100 camels. Subhanallah. Number 2, if you have 2 of these limbs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 legs, 2 ears, etc., then in this case, for each one of them, there's half a diya. So 50 camels for the right hand, 50 camels for the left hand. He cut off 1 hand, that is 50 camels. He cut off 2 hands, it's 50 camels. Number 3, if you have more than 2, like for example your fingers, example your toes, then for all 10 it's 1 diya. So for all 10 it's 100 camels. Then for each one it would be 10. So 10 for each finger. He cut off 3 fingers, 30 camels. 4 fingers, 40 camels. So we just divide it. Number 4, if you had lost one of your senses, maybe you went to the doctor and it's an eye operation, and the doctor's surgeon made a mistake. He's made a mistake. He did something, he made a mistake. So here the diya would be due, and you lost your sight. If you lose one of your senses, one of your manafi', one of the benefits, etc., even though your eyes are still there, even though they might blink, but there's no sight, then this here is a full diya. So for the sense of sight, a full diya. For the sense of smell, a full diya. For the use of the private organ, a full diya. We find during the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, there was 2 individuals who got into some sort of an skirmish, some sort of an argument, and one hit the other, and this individual, he lost his sight, he lost his hearing, he lost the usage of his private organ, and also his mind was affected. So 4 manafi', 4 benefits. Number 1, sight, a full diya, 100 camels. Number 2, his hearing, a full diya, 100 camels. Number 3, the usage of his private organ, a full diya, 100 camels. Number 4, the effect on his mind, a full diya, and so in total it was 400 camels. Subhanallah. If the individual had died, it would have been 100 camels. Here he lost 4 of these senses, 4 of these benefits, manafi'. It was 4 diyas. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Also take note, Ya Abdullah, Ya Amatallah, that the diya for the male free Muslim is 100 camels. As for the female, then it is half of this, it's 50 camels. And this is the ijma', the consensus of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ibn Mundir has recorded this ijma'. Ibn Abdul Barr has also recorded this ijma'. Then we have the diya of the non-Muslim. Non-Muslim could be kitabi and could be those others besides the kitabi. As for the kitabi, then he is also half of the male free Muslim. So this would be 50 camels, similar to the diya of the Muslim female. the non-Muslim kitabi male whose blood has been sanctified, dhimmi, musta'man or mu'ahad, jayid, this individual's diya is 50 camels, equal to the diya of the Muslim female, jayid. So this individual's diya is half the diya of the Muslim male and equal to the diya of the Muslim female. Prophet ﷺ states, Diyatul mu'ahad nisf diyatul hur, rawahu Abu Dawood. The diya of this individual is half of that of the free Muslim man. Diyatu aql al-kafir nisf aql al-mu'min, rawahu Tirmidhi. The diya of the disbeliever is half of the diya of the Muslim. So this was the kitabi. If it was a Majusi, fire worshipper, etc., then we have certain narrations, but they have some weakness in them. Reported by Imam Abu Dawood that Diyatul Majusi 800 dirham. The diya of the Majusi is 800 dirhams. Jayid. But this hadith has some weakness in it. Some scholars, due to that, were of the opinion that diya of all non-Muslim males, those who are mu'ahad, musta'man, dhimmi, etc., they are all half. Whether they kitabi, whether they Majusi, they are all half, so they are 50 camels. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, of the opinion that the diya of the non-Muslims is similar to the diya of the Muslim male. So majority were on one side and the Hanafis on the other side. They stated that just like how the diya of a young boy and a man who's 50, both are Muslim, the diya is the same. The fasiq and the one who is salih, the diya is the same. They said, well, this shows us that whether a person has iman or kufr should not make a distinction and should not cause any differentiation between the diya. The diya is for the life, the diya is for the blood. Whereas majority of the scholars based upon these narrations said, no, diya of the Muslim is such, diya of the non-Muslim is such. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. The opinion of majority of the scholars is the stronger opinion, insha'Allah. Diya of the abd, of the slave. Someone had killed the slave or someone had injured the slave. What's the diya of the slave? Diya of the slave is the value of the slave. Even if the value of the slave might be equal to 1,000 camels, 5,000 camels. Why? Because they regard this slave as some sort of commodity. So what's the value of this commodity? What's the value of this slave? Such and such is the value. Well, it's like you smash my car, you killed my slave, you need to pay up. Diya of the janeen, of the fetus, is 5 camels, as we will discuss insha'Allah. With regards to the heavy diya and the light diya, what's meant by this? Then we find that the heavy diya, as per the hadith of Amr bin Shu'ayb radiallahu ta'ala an, reported by Imam al-Tirmidhi, that it's all to do with the ages of the camels. So you have 30 of this type of camel, 30 of that type, and 40 of another type. And the ages differ. And also with regards to the mughallaza, the heavy type, the camels are all female camels. And these camels are more expensive than the male camels. As for the lighter type of diya, then you have some which are females and some which are males. So that's why it is slightly lighter in its value. Jayid. And we will discuss that as we come to it, inshallah. The last matter before we begin, the aqila, the male paternal relatives of the killer, of the perpetrator. So one's sons, the father, the uncle's sons, etc. These are all your asabat. These are all your maternal, these are all your paternal male relatives. And it's irrelevant whether they inherit from you or not. Your uncles might not inherit from you. You have sons, but they are your asabat. And if you had perpetrated this act of killing, then they need to have out if it was the categories which we've mentioned where the aqila helps out. This is where they come together. This is where they make ta'awun and they try to help you out in this matter. Jayid. They also take note that they have and they cover in this matter of diya, but they do not have and cover when you when some sort of compensation is required from you in any other type of financial transaction. Maybe you went into some sort of business and you made a super loss and you're now indebted for 1,000, 1,000,000. Does this aqila, your family, have to come to your aid and help you out? No, they're not bound. But in this matter of blood, they are bound and they have to come forward. As for women, as for kids, as for your uncles who are poor, none of them have to pay up anything, and all of these matters are judged by the qadi. Judged by the qadi. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. We begin, inshallah. The author states, Kitabud Diyat, the book of blood money payments. The blood money diya of the free Muslim is 1,000 measures of gold. دية الحر المسلم 1000 مثقال من الذهب أو 12,000 dirham أو 100 من الإبل. The author states, the blood money for the free Muslim male, is 1,000 measures of gold, and this we find in that letter of Amr ibn Hazm radiallahu ta'ala anh. Many of the scholars of the opinion that the usul of diya is camels, and then we have the amounts in gold, the amounts in silver, the amounts in sheep, etc. These are all in equivalent to the value of those camels at that time. So they are not usul on their own, but they are the equivalent amount. So the equivalent amount today, as recently adjusted in Saudi Arabia, that when it comes to qatl amd, it's 400,000 Saudi riyals, and when it comes to qatl khata, it's 300 Saudi riyals. The blood money of the free Muslim is 1,000 measures of gold, that's the equivalent of the 100 camels, or 12,000 dirhams, similar, the equivalent of the 100 camels, or 100 camels. 100 camels is the asl, the other two qiyas upon those in the equivalent. The Prophet ﷺ, as per the hadith, فرض رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الدية على أهل الإبل 100 من الإبل. Prophet ﷺ obliged upon the people of camels 100 camels, reported by Imam Abu Dawood. فإن كانت دية عمد فهي 30 حقة و30 جذعة و40 خلفة وهن الحوامل. If the blood money is payable in compensation for murder committed with deliberate intent in amd, it amounts to, how do we make up this 100 camels? 30 hiqqa, she camels, female camels that are 3 years old, 30 jada'a, female camels that are 4 years old, and 40 khalifa, they are those camels which are pregnant. It is due immediately from the property of the perpetrator, from the property of the killer. لا يجني جاني إلا على نفسه. The only one responsible is the one who committed this crime. ولا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Nobody carries the burden of another. So it's due in 100 camels as per this mughallaza, heavy type of diya. And lastly, it is due halan, it's due immediately, and also it is due from the perpetrator. The aqila doesn't help out in this mas'ala. The author continues and he states, وإن كان شبه عمد فكذلك في أسنانها وكذلك على العاقلة في 3 سنين في رأس كل سنة ثلثها. If it is payable in compensation for a murder committed with quasi-deliberate intent, shib al-amd, it's the same with regards to the ages of the camels. So it's also mughallaza and heavy, so it's equivalent today 400,000, 400,000 Saudi riyals. But here it is incumbent upon the aqila, the paternal relatives of the killer, within 3 years. So it's on the aqila, and also some time of 3 years has been given, 1/3 of it at the beginning of each year. And that's the opinion of majority of the scholars. The author then continues, وإن كانت دية خطأ فهي على العاقلة كذلك إلا أنها 20 بنت مخاض و20 ابن مخاض و20 بنت لبون و20 حقة و20 جذعة. If it's the blood money for murder committed by mistake khata, it is incumbent upon the aqila, okay, on those same terms, except, so it's also deferred to 3 years, it's upon the aqila, except that it consists of 20, so it differs in the ages of the camels and the type of camels, so it's slightly cheaper. 20 bint makhad, females, 20 ibn makhad, which are males in the second year, 20 bint laboon, the females that produce milk, 20 hiqqa, and 20 jada'a. Jayyid. This is all based upon the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala, reported by Imam Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and Imam Ahmad in his Musnad. Jayyid. That it works in 20, 20, 20, 20, and 20. Our previous mughallada, heavy type of diya was 30, 30, and 40.